Do you ever want to dive deeper into the Bible, but you just don't know where to begin, or struggle to feel like you even have the time? When you read the Bible, do you get frustrated because you know there's so much more in there? You just have no clue how to get it out? Or maybe you want to know the Bible better, and you're looking for any resource to help. Then this is the podcast for you. Welcome to the Context and Color of the Bible. We're sisters. I'm Veronica.
I'm Erika.
And we love to study the Bible, and we love to help others understand it better. When it comes to our own study of Scripture, we have found that in bringing back the context of Scripture, it adds so much to our understanding. It actually adds color to the black and white pages of the text.
So, Veronica, I don't know if this one's exactly a name, might be more a title.
Yeah, when you said it last week, it was when we were talking about it, it was like, but it fits the name category.
Right. It definitely is describing him,
Yeah.
and it's used a lot.
Yeah, so and therefore, to me, if a name is a label, it's a label for God.
A label is a name?
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah, that works.
Something like that.
Right.
So, but what I like is we're exploring, and I kind of feel like a lot of our names are going to like rest on this one.
Yeah.
Like this is a foundation.
Yeah, this one, I would agree. This one's foundational, I think.
Yeah.
So the title that, when I was praying about it, saying, Lord, what name? God of Israel.
Which
what
it was
came.
like, duh.
I know, of course. But I just want to look at that title a bit stronger this morning. So in Genesis 28, Jacob's at Bethel, and he has that dream where God comes to him. He sees the angels, and he wakes up from the dream, and he says, if you get me home safe, back to my father's country, you'll be my God. He goes to his uncle Laban, gets married, has kids, gets wealthy, comes back. In Genesis 32, Jacob is the night before he's to meet with his brother Esau. He wrestles with an angel and he gets renamed Israel. Mm-hmm. Both of those things lead up to Genesis 33, verses 18 and 20, Veronica.
After Jacob came from Paddan Aram, he arrived safely at the city of Shechem in Canaan and camped within sight of the city. There he set up an altar and called it El Elohi Israel.
Yeah.
Am I saying that right?
Yeah, perfect. That's great. God sees Jacob back to his homeland. So Jacob sets up an altar and proclaims, okay, this God that came to my grandpa and my father, you are my God, the God of Israel. He fulfills his vow. And now this becomes a common title of God, the God of Israel. Now, I don't know how big this group is, but there are a group, at least in our small community, and I know there are other places as well, of believers, and they're well-meaning believers. I sincerely do think that, who say you have to use God's name. And they will say his covenantal name. Otherwise, God won't know which God you're referring to. Well, my pushback to that would be, do you not know when your child says mom or dad?
Right.
You know, I have a relationship with my child. And yes, we've all been in that situation where one kid says, mom, and like all the moms jump up and go, what? And then you're like, oh, it's not my child. But the reality is I know my child. I know their voice and they know me. So when they say mom, a common generic name, I know who they're talking to. Well, that's true of God. He knows his children. And when you say God and you are talking to him, you don't have to worry like, oh, which God is going to respond? No, he knows his people. He knows his children. But at the same time, there are people out there as well proclaiming to love God, speak for God, declaring their actions represent God. But sometimes I want to look at them and go, but what God are you talking about? Because your actions and what you're saying about God doesn't fit up with Scripture, not the God of Israel that I see in Scripture. More than 200 times in the Old Testament, God is referenced as the God of Israel. All right, not the first time, but the next time really we see it is in Exodus chapter 5, verse 1. Veronica.
Afterward, Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said, this is what the Lord, the God of Israel says, let my people go so that we may hold a festival so they may hold a festival in the desert to me.
All right, this is the first time Moses and Aaron go before Pharaoh, and they're declaring that the God they are speaking for is not one of the plethora of Egyptian gods. This is a different God. So they name him, they use his covenantal name, and then they identify him as the God of Israel. This God who revealed himself in the burning bush to Moses, this God who entered into covenant with the patriarchs, this God who is over an entire universe, as we heard about last week, Lord of hosts, is stating absolutely unequivocally he belongs to Israel and they belong to him. And even without that phrase, God of Israel, you actually see this in scripture multiple times. We're just going to look quickly at two places. So the first place is Deuteronomy 7 verse 6.
As I'm turning there. For you are the people holy to the Lord your God. The Lord your God has chosen you out of all the peoples of the face of the earth to be his people, his treasured possession.
All right, Veronica, you are the Genesis expert. What happens in Genesis 11?
Genesis 11. Oh, that would be...
I put you on the spot.
No, I know. Because Genesis 10 is like all the list of the people. Genesis 11 would be the Tower of Babel.
Very good.
And I did that without looking in my Bible.
Yeah, she totally did. And so what's in Genesis 12 then?
Genesis 12 is when you get introduced to Abraham.
Okay.
Not Moses.
So, yeah, that's quite a jump, but you know, you get there. So in Genesis 11, God comes down, sees the people actively disobeying him. He then scatters them. It's kind of like at that moment, he says to the nations, fine, you want to do this your own way? Go for it. Go after your other gods. Go after your name, your people. Create yourself a name on this planet. But as they're walking away, one little nation grabs his attention and he's like, oh, wait a minute, Israel? You stop. You come back here, actually. I have a special job, but a really, really big responsibility. You're mine. And he chooses Israel in the very next chapter to be his people. All right. Isaiah 41, Veronica, verses 8 through 10.
I have to flip through all my other tabs she gave me.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Isaiah
41.
8 through 10.
8 through 10. But you, O Israel, my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, you descendants of Abraham, my friend. I took you from the ends of the earth, from its farthest corners I called you. I said, you are my servant. I have chosen you and have not rejected you. Do not fear, for I am with you. So do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand.
All right, in a minute, we'll go back to Exodus, Veronica, so I'll let you open there. But like this, there are actually a ton of scripture passages where God declares this over and over again. We saw a few in Deuteronomy where he repeatedly says, Israel, you're mine. There's no other nation on the planet to whom God has declared this. Okay, so even when the scriptures don't reference him as the God of Israel, he is still talking about his relationship with them in a very unique, intimate way. But now we're going to go back and look through just a few passages where the God of Israel is specifically mentioned. The first one is Exodus 24, verses 9 and 10.
Moses and Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and the 70 elders of Israel went up and saw the God of Israel. Under his feet was something like a pavement made of sapphire, clear as the sky itself.
So what's happening at this moment in Israel's history?
They are just entered into covenant with God. This is like just made the covenant. Everything is great. We can go up to the mountain and see God and eat at his table.
Right.
Because nothing bad has happened yet.
Dun, dun,
Give
dun.
it about 30 seconds.
Yeah. Yet. Being the key word right there.
Yeah.
But it's a very important moment, though. They're confirming the covenant, like you said. And clearly, the God of Israel, they see him, they eat with him. Okay, you see it also in Exodus 34:23. Joshua builds a covenant, an altar to the God of Israel. You see God fighting for Israel throughout the book of Joshua. All right, Ruth is the next one we're going to look at. And Ruth 2:12.
May the Lord repay you for what you have done. May you be richly rewarded by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge.
Okay, What's happening in this story, Veronica?
That is Boaz. Ruth is out gleaning in his field, and he calls her over and he's like, hey, I've heard about you, what you've done for Naomi, how you've come back with her. You're gleaning in my field. My foreman noticed you're a hard worker. I'm going to give you some water, some food, and I'm going to tell you that God's going to repay you, and you can stay in my field and work with my servant girls.
And which God?
The God of Israel.
And why is that important for Ruth?
Oh, because she's coming out of Moab where they've got their own gods.
That's right. But she says to Naomi in chapter 1, your God will be my God. And Boaz is saying, hey, the God of Israel is now your God, Ruth. And what he does is blesses her in amazingly huge ways. All right, 1 Samuel chapter 5. This story I enjoy. Makes me chuckle.
When the men of Ashdod saw what was happening, they said, the ark of the God of Israel must not stay here with us, because his hand is heavy upon us and upon Dagon our God.
So it's kind of a
To me,
sad.
you're missing out the good part. Like where Dagon keeps falling.
Exactly, yeah. It's a sad but also funny story. So the Ark of the Covenant gets taken by the Philistines in battle with Israel. They bring it in as a trophy, declaring that obviously their God, Dagon, is far more superior to the God of Israel. But what repeatedly happens?
He keeps falling.
He keeps falling over,
Then like his arms fall off.
and his head gets off.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're finally like, okay, we need to move
We
this.
give up.
And every place they move it to, a plague breaks out on the Philistine men. And they're finally like, this God is way too powerful. And they send it back to Israel because the God of Israel belongs in Israel. Don't mess with the God of Israel. That's all I'm going to say. You see it in 1 Chronicles 17 and 2 Chronicles 32. Sennacherib is trying to destroy Israel's confidence. And he's like, no other God has been able, he's that cat nation Assyria. And he's got Jerusalem surrounded. And he's like, no other God has been able to defeat me and my gods. Why do you think your God, the God of Israel, is any better? And Hezekiah's like, thank you for saying that, because now my God has to show up. Like, you just opened your mouth and got yourself in trouble, and an angel comes and wipes out 200,000. Assyrian, talk about the Lord of hosts. He wipes out the enemy army. All right, and then Ezra 1:3.
Okay. Any of his people among you may his God be with him, and let him go up to Jerusalem and Judea and build the temple of the Lord, the God of Israel, the God who is in Jerusalem.
The God of Israel, who is specifically now connected to Jerusalem. You want to wonder why Jerusalem is such a hot spot for religions and people? Because the God of Israel is there. God is there, and people know it. It's an important
And the
city.
spiritual forces know it. I think that's something we forget about. We go, God put his name and went, hey, this is mine. And it's like every other small G God went,
Yes.
oh, maybe I can knock you off that hill.
Right.
You just declared I'm king of the castle, be off, you dirty rascal.
Yeah.
And it's like for centuries.
There's a lot of jostling and pushing.
Yeah, of everyone going, maybe I can, Satan going, I can be like God.
Right. I can take that city.
That is still going on.
Yes. And then one day it will end. So you see it in Samuel, Kings, Chronicles, Psalms, Isaiah, Jeremiah, the prophets. We also see it one time, Veronica, in the New Testament, Matthew chapter 15, verse 31.
The people were amazed when they saw the mute speaking, the crippled made well, the lame walking, and the blind seeing. And they praised the God of Israel.
This is the only time Matthew has to state this, because if you look at the bigger context, what you'll find is Jesus is actually in a region filled with Gentiles. Earlier in the chapter, he's dealt with a Canaanite woman, and now he's still in that same Gentile area. He stated his message and purpose is to go to his fellow Jewish people. The God of Israel sent him to Israel, but right now he's in a Gentile-heavy area, and they, along with Jews, are coming to listen to him. They're hearing him. He's doing miracles, and so these Gentiles are praising the God of Israel, because they recognize it's not just any deity that's doing this. This is specifically the work of the God of Israel through this rabbi. And we're amazed. Excuse me. All right, Veronica, the New Testament scriptures don't reference the God. God is the God of Israel. Because at this point, it should be a no-brainer.
Right. We all know who your God is. I mean, think about it. When God had that showdown with Pharaoh in Egypt in Exodus. It's like, okay, I'm introducing myself to the world, and that just continues. And so it's like, oh, we all heard about your God. You're not some little city and we don't know your God. It's like, no, Rahab said it 40 years later. Oh, yeah, we still remember.
Daniel said it hundreds and hundreds of years later.
So you go, that God was just going, I'm going to make my name go out. I'm going to make my name great, and everyone's going to remember it from here on out.
So by the time you get to Jesus, the disciples, Paul, when they reference God, one of your first thoughts needs to be which God? Oh, the God of Israel. The God of the Bible is connected to a specific people group. And it's, I was telling Veronica, I just got a new commentary on 1 Peter. I just started it, so I won't.
So we're not going to put it out there. She needs to finish reading it.
I need to finish it. But the very first chapter is all about how the God in 1 Peter is the God of Israel. And so when you come to 1 Peter and you are reading through it, you need to bring that with you and recognize Peter is talking about the God of Israel, a specific people group, a specific history, a specific covenant. But then it's easy to go, okay, well, what about us Gentiles? I'm not Jewish. You're not Jewish. And it's easy to kind of feel bad and go, oh, well, we don't mean anything then. If he's the God of Israel, what about Gentiles? But actually, we need to rejoice that the God of the Bible, the God we worship, sing about, talk about, is the God of Israel. Because that means he has connected himself to this planet and all of humanity. He cannot walk away from us. He can't leave us and start over. He can't ignore us or be ignorant. He has to care. Because he made a covenant with a specific people group on this planet. He has bound himself to this little tiny planet in this massive universe through a specific group of people called Israel. Kendall Solon, he's an author, a Bible professor. He has this line in one of his books: Israel is the carnal anchor God has sunk into the soil of creation. By electing to be the God of Israel, God has bound his name to the world in a way that cannot be easily dissolved. If he just wanted to be God of any place, well, big deal. But in being the God of Israel, he has forced himself to remain connected to earth and to mankind in particular. He has to be involved because Israel is still here. And they're his. I was watching a while ago, the Apocalyptic Podcast. We've talked about them in the past. They did a seminar, and First Fruits of Zion, they had it recorded, and First Fruits of Zion put it out. And so I was watching through their videos, and it was an excellent seminar they did. But it was the fourth seminar. Dr. John Harrigan made this comment. He said, if you are God who created all things, but you are separate, what do you do to reveal yourself and communicate how you feel about your creation rebelling in a unified fashion all together in building a tower to heaven? Genesis 11. God chose to anchor himself to creation, to communicate, I'm not going away, I'm not running away. God is ruthless in his determination to rescue humanity and restore it to himself. He chose to make a covenant and bind himself to a specific people to represent this ambition. We know God has not given up on the world due to his commitment to Israel. God's not giving up on me because he hasn't given up on the world and he hasn't given up on Israel. So it actually benefits the world that he is the God of Israel because it keeps him connected to us. And so we Gentiles are not forgotten. We do matter to God. Paul declares in Romans 11, we've been grafted into this family tree. We have a place at the table, but we need to recognize whose table is it and where is our place. And so to remember that, it's helpful to be reminded he's the God of Israel. That is how he has chosen to be known. Now, yes, Zechariah 14:9 talks about how one day the Lord is one and his name will be one over all the earth. Like the nations will recognize he is God. but he becomes God over all because he is right now started as the God of Israel. The table's been started by Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. It's filled with their progeny. We're kind of the redheaded stepchild, you know? It's not about us, but we get to be there. We have a place in the story, but we're not the focus. It's not our story. It is the God of Israel and what he is doing to reclaim creation using Israel. And we need to remember that. The God we serve is the God of Israel. And that will help keep scripture in focus and help remind us as Gentiles, our part is to come alongside and worship this God and show him as he is and support God's covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Jewish people.
Which is why I feel like this is like the foundational name. But as I'm doing it more like a banner, and all these other names are like falling off of it.
Oh,
like
right.
the God of Israel. A part of him is El Elyon. A part of him is El Shaddai. A part of him is the place. A part of him is the Lord of hosts. And you go, okay, so who is this? Who is this God of Israel? Well, now I get to dig a little bit deeper and go, oh, here's who you are. You're this, you're that. Like, who is Erika Van Heidsma? Well, she's Erika. She's
A mother,
mom.
a
She's
sister.
wife. She's nicknames have been Airhead, Egghead. I've given Erika
Guess who
know.
gave me those? Yes.
all got air. You know, you've got different names, but it all falls under Erika Van Heidsma. Well, the God of Israel, all these different names fall under it. And you go, now you get the joy, the privilege to go, okay, let me get to know you in a different way. But it links it all. I think it's so important because it links it all back to that piece of land. He put his name on those people he chose and go, you can never forget where God is. That's where his land is, and his people belong there. And I just come back to that idea of it's like God went, okay, I'm king of the castle. And all those little spiritual forces went, oh, we're going to try to take you out.
And he's just kind of laughing.
Kind of flicking them away. You're not powerful, but I have to just keep interacting with you until I'm
I'm
time's
done.
up.
Yeah.
Yes. So I don't know.
Yeah.
This has been so cool.
It's
I'm
been fascinating.
loving these names of God. So come back next week and we'll dig into some more.
Bye-bye.
All right, I'm coming back just to tell you really quick that Erika and I are going to be in Lansing, Michigan on May 14th. We are going to be at the Inch Convention, Homeschool Convention, for the hands-on fair on Thursday from 11 to 3. So if you are in the Lansing area and you would like to come see us, we will be there. We would love to interact with you, talk to you. We will have free handouts telling you about scripture memorization, different things going on with the podcast. But those of you in Lansing, Michigan, come see us on May 14th.